Alright, so this is the first time I've done this in front of a camera. What I am going to do is draw one of my main characters from the story I'm doing, and just to get an idea of how I draw this character and give a little commentary about what I like doing in designing my characters and whatnot. So usually I like to start with the head, because I think that's really one of the important starting points if I'm gonna have the body follow second, so that it won't seem too disproportionate to the head.
So what kind of character are you planning to draw right now?
I'm drawing my main character, who is a fairy, and she's like the main heroine of my story.
And what's her name?
Aliana. So yeah, I usually have a basic. I've done this like a long time, so I have a good idea of how to do the head and facial features. So with this character, because she was more of a fantasy character, I decided to do her hair in sort of an Art Nouveau sensuous form and have more details in the hair to add to the magic and mystery to her, as well as her beauty. And this is sort of my hairstyle that I'm doing for her on the top here. A lot of people say that it's anime, but it's actually not, and that's really inspired by that. It's really just what I see with a lot of cartoon characters these days.
What do you think the difference is between that and anime?
Well, the anime characters, they tend to be a little more, they don't have really as much detail in their hair, and with regular cartoons, it's a lot more detailed and refined.
I see.
Okay, so now I'm drawing her pointy ears here, and sometimes this is kind of a challenge, because when I'm drawing the pointy ears, they'll sometimes either be too close or too far away from her face.
So what distinguishes a fairy type character from a more natural human type character?
Well, with a fairy character, I give it more. It's the pointy ears that helps really define them, and it's also the fact that they're depicted as more elegant a lot of the times, because they have a strong love of nature, and also it's just really how they're depicted a lot. So.
What are some of the books that you've looked at that have fairy characters that you think are good renditions of fairy type characters?
Well, I've looked at Brian Froud's illustrations, as well as Alan Lee's of fairies, mm-hmm. and Arthur Rackham is also really good with his fairies and hobgoblins. So now I'm coming to the eyes, and so yeah, this is my main character, and usually when I have the main heroine, I usually have like this hero's chin, which is and cheek, which is a little longer than.
What makes that a hero's chin, would you say?
Because it has a bit more of an angular, bold look to it. So now I'm doing the eyes.
Now, when you do the eyes, what kinds of expressions or feelings are you looking for in the eyes?
Well, with this character's eyes in general, I'm trying to go for something that has a very heroic look, yet also is very melancholy.
It's interesting that you use heroic look for your fairy characters. Why do you see your fairy characters as heroic? Is that something that's usual among depictions of fairies that they're heroic types? I guess I never think of fairies as being heroic.
It really depends, on what types of fairies we're talking about here. Like, because there are the small type of fairies as well as more humanoid types.
So, what sorts of feats do your fairies do that are heroic?
This character, she goes out and fights and gets into a lot of battles while trying to save the world from an evil witch. And and she's kind of like at first, because she was born in another place outside of her own world, she hasn't really had any knowledge of where she originally came from, and so even though she's still pretty heroic, she's still kind of still learning all this as she goes along.
After we saw the movie Avatar, the characters in that, the alien characters, or the Aborigine characters, they reminded me actually of your work. Did you see any similarities there in the between those characters and yours?
Well, perhaps like with the main native in that, I could see a little similarity, but mainly in just the facial features and the eyes. But otherwise, I really don't see all that much of a similarity at all.
The eyes seemed similar to me. Because you tend to draw large eyes.
Yeah.
And I think in that movie, one reason that people felt sympathy with the Aborigines or the natives is because they had these big, innocent-looking eyes. And I think that with your characters, with your sympathetic characters, oftentimes they have these large, sympathetic eyes, like this character here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's definitely sympathetic eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They seem to be sort of melancholy, actually.
Yeah, that was the intention I was going for. Because she's had kind of a lonely childhood when she was younger, and in some ways I think that's kind of affected her in a way, and she's also kind of concerned about the welfare of others, and that's sort of what I'm trying to depict here, and just her expression.
You're using just a basic number 2 pencil, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
So you don't use really any fancy pencil for your drawings. You don't really need it.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm planning to work more with other pencils, but this is really my.
Well, it seems like using pressure, applying pressure or applying less pressure, you're able to get the strokes that you want.
So now I'm getting to just the upper part of the body. As far as the upper part, I'm going the normal cartoon heroine route, which is the more slender body, and she is also still she is 18 years old, which would mean her body's still developing. So just add the shoulder blades here. This is like a little medallion I'm drawing. It just seemed to really complete the character.